What is up? Welcome to my channel. My name is Franca and I'm glad you're here. Today we're going to be going over Blake Lively's lawsuit again. Last time we only got through the 30 points. If you see my pimple patches, pretend you don't. I'm trying to film another video at the same time as this, so please ignore. So let's jump straight into it. This meeting was an essential step in the process of the parties had agreed to several months before to allow the cast and crew to safely resume production of the film. In mid-November 2023, the parties had agreed in writing to implement a list of protections enumerated in a contract entitled Protections for Return to Production, which included 17 provisions designed to require Wayfair to cease the onset behavior of Mr. Baldoni and Mr. Heath. One of those provisions required an all-hands meeting to confirm and approve a plan for the implementation of certain protections that will be adhered to for the physical and emotional safety of Miss Lively, her employees, and all cast and crew moving forward. After receiving the document, Wayfair responded that Wayfair, Sony, and production respectfully acknowledge that Miss Lively has concerns regarding safety, professionalism, and workplace culture. Although our perspective differs in many aspects, ensuring a safe environment for all is paramount, irrespective of differing viewpoints. We find most of them not only reasonable, but also essential for the benefit of all parties involved. But I do think signing this agreement does put Justin in a bad spot, because if he's saying, like, none of this is true, I never did any of this, why would you sign the contract? You know what I mean? Like, but I guess you could also say, like, on the other hand, he was like, I just want Blake Lively to come to set and, like, actually finish this movie. I've put so much work into it, and I'm just gonna sign this so she comes back. At the end of the January 4th meeting, having discussed at length the details of concerns that had been expressed by Miss Lively and others, the parties agreed to implement and follow the protections to return to production to ensure that the film could be completed, marketed, and released safely and successfully, and it was. Production of the film resumed on January 5th and concluded on February 9th, 2024. The film has been a resounding success. You know what I think strange, though? They said this policy was put in so that they could film, market, and release the movie safely. And then they say it was, which means that after all these complaints were brought to everyone's attention and they signed these papers, everything went smoothly. So why is it that none of the cast marketed the movie with Justin? Because if this said these policies were there to complete the movie and market it, wouldn't you think that means, like, market it together? None of this behavior continued after that moment. Don't you think they would market the movie together, and then after all this press release and stuff like that, they would just go their separate ways? You know what I mean? I find that weird, a little. Maybe I'm just thinking about it a little bit differently. Leading up to and in connection with the release of the film, during the summer of 2014, Miss Lively and fellow cast members promoted the film in accordance with the marketing plan created and delivered by the film's distributor Sony, which is summarized in the talking points attached here to as Exhibit C. Miss Lively and other cast members were under a contractual obligation to render promotional services in accordance with the marketing plan. The marketing plan directed the cast to focus more on Lily's strength and resilience as opposed to describing the film as a story about domestic violence, and to avoid talking about this film that makes it feel sad or heavy. It's a story of hope. See, and that's where I think she got most of the hate from, because all of these interviews came out of her being like, oh my god, grab your florals, go watch the movie, like it was freaking Barbie or something, when it definitely wasn't. It's a much deeper topic. And the way they make it seem is like the marketing team was like, yeah, this movie is gonna be too heavy for everyone, so let's, like, take the heaviness out of it and then a great fun summer movie. So I think that's weird. But also the fact that, like, no one on this team genuinely thought this movie's about domestic violence, you know? Why don't we just, like, not talk about it? You think they would learn from Colleen Hoover's mistakes? Because Colleen Hoover got called out by, like, a lot of her fans for creating It Ends With Us coloring book. So you think she would learn from this and be like, hey guys, like, we cannot F this up. Like, I've already got in trouble. This is what happened. Like, we can't do a coloring book kind of thing. We need to make sure that this story is about DV and DV only. You think she would learn. Girl did not learn a thing. She said, actually, let's market this movie as a love triangle. Didn't learn a thing. Absolutely crazy. Out of everyone in that room, she should have known. Colleen Hoover should have known my audience is not going to like this marketing plan. The people who like my book are not gonna like this marketing plan. And that's on her and every single person who adhered to this marketing plan because it was awful. In the days leading up to the film's release, Mr. Baldoni abruptly pivoted away from the film's marketing plan and the types of publicity activities in which he had previously participated. What the public did not know was that Mr. Baldoni and his team did so in an effort to explain why many of the film's cast and crew had unfollowed Mr. Baldoni on social media and were not appearing with him in public. To that end, he and his team used domestic violence survivor content to protect his public image as described in further detail below. See, I kind of understand this half and half, you know what I mean? I'm on the fence about this one because knowing Mr. Baldoni's like history of like his podcast and like talking about toxic masculinity, why would he not have like at least half a brain and be like, this movie's about domestic violence, we're going to make it about domestic violence. Like this plan is SHIT, we're not doing that. But this complaint says he participated in these marketing plans before, but I've never seen him like market with them. You know what I mean? So I wonder if him not being with the cast in any of these marketing things was him saying like, I don't want any part of that marketing strategy, like that's stupid, and differing, and she's making it sound like, yeah, clearly he decided this was all going to be a smear campaign. I can kind of see either side happening here. What the public also did not know was that this was the beginning of a multi-tiered plan that Mr. Baldoni and his team described as social manipulation designed to destroy Miss Lively's reputation. That plan was backed by virtually unlimited resources. Wayfair's co-founder, co-chairman, and leading financier is a multi-billionaire Steve Schwartz. I forget if that's what I called him in the last video, who divulged at the film's New York premiere on August 6, 2024, that he was prepared to spend $100 million to ruin the lives of Miss Lively and her family. I want to know if they have like a video of that or like a text message, because like, when did this happen? This was at the premiere, so I need some receipts for that. With that backing, Mr. Baldoni and his Wayfair associates embarked on a sophisticated press and digital plan in retaliation for Miss Lively exercising her legally protected right to speak up about their misconduct on set, with the additional objective of intimidating her and anyone else from revealing in public what actually occurred. You know what's crazy though? Not one other cast member has come out and said like, hey, like Justin was CUNT to me too. It's just been Blake so far. So I wonder if this like does go to trial, if there's gonna be other people saying like he treated me poorly too. But what I have seen is reporters coming out of the woodwork to say working with Blake Lively was their worst experience. And I've seen like 3 people come out and say like I've worked with Blake Lively, she's awful. On July 31st, 2024, following the recommendation of their publicist, Jennifer Abel, Wayfair and Mr. Baldoni retained a crisis communications specialist named Melissa Nathan and her company, the Agency Group. Miss Nathan delivered a proposal to Mr. Baldoni which included a website to discuss, full Reddit social account takedowns, full social crisis team on hand for anything, engage with the audiences in the right way, start threads of theory. This is the way to be fully 100% protected. Miss Nathan also proposed the creation of social fan engagement to go back and forth with any negative accounts, helping to change narrative and stay on track. Per Miss Nathan, all of this will be most importantly untraceable. As Miss Abel described it, the plan was to engage in social media mitigation and proactive fan posting to counter the negative as well as social manipulation. Here's my thing. If she says this is untraceable, how are they finding evidence? You know what I mean? Because if this says it's untraceable, how are they tracing? How do they know that they are doing these things? You know what I mean? That's what's weird to me. This plan went well, beyond standard crisis PR. What Miss Nathan proposed included a practice known as astroturfing, which has been defined as the practice of publishing opinions or comments on the internet, in the media, etc., that appear to come from ordinary members of the public but actually come from a particular company or political group. Which is crazy, because if this is what like celebrities are doing, like imagine the politicians. Imagine. On August 2nd, 2024, Tag circulated a scenario planning document to Mr. Baldoni, Mr. Heath, and others, which described preparations and strategies should Miss Lively and her team make her grievances public. It is attached here too as Exhibit D. To get ahead of this narrative, Miss Nathan's plan proposed strategies to advance misleading counter-narratives including pushing Nathan's narrative that Miss Lively had less than favorable reputation, proposing to explore planting stories about the weaponization of feminism, and misleadingly blaming Miss Lively for production members' job losses. Okay, so then they have receipts. So this is from Justin to, I think, Jennifer Abel. Justin says, morning. Not in love with the document they sent. Not sure I'm feeling the protection I felt on the call. Jennifer says, this is the first time I've personally gone through scenario planning with them. I think let's let them discuss the thinking behind the document and the actual process and protocol of how they implement these things. That's the most important part of this, and how quickly they can shut things down and place stories in your favor. Be honest on this call, and let's give real feedback to each point. Justin to Jennifer. Yeah, just feels very much like there's not much defense, and also them feeling strong like she's going to do something, just a bit concerning with what everyone had originally thought. Initially, Mr. Baldoni expressed concerns that Tag's written plan was insignificantly aggressive to protect him. Writing to Mr. Heath, Miss Abel, he said he was not in love with the document they sent. Not sure I'm feeling the protection I felt on the call with Miss Nathan and her colleagues. In response, Mr. Heath attempted to reassure Mr. Baldoni that they had found the right people for his campaign. In Mr. Heath's words, the most important part of this is how quickly they can shut things down and place stories in your favor. I guess he was talking to Mr. Heath and not Jennifer Abel. My bad. Later that day, Miss Abel and Miss Nathan exchanged the following text message, expressing that Mr. Baldoni wants to feel like Miss Lively can be buried. Miss Abel and Miss Nathan agree that of course they would do just that, but they cannot say so in writing. We can't just write it down to him. We can't just write, we will destroy her. Imagine if a document saying all these things that he wants ends up in the wrong hands. Jennifer to Melissa. You can, of course, do that, but I do think he needs to know. I'm going to confidentially send you something. He's texting me and Jamie on the side just to arm you before this call. I think you guys need to be tough and show the strength of what you guys can do in these scenarios. He wants to feel like she can be buried. Melissa to Jennifer. Of course, but you know when we send over documents, we can't send over the work we will or could do because that could get us into a lot of trouble. Melissa to Jennifer. We can't write it down to him. We can't write, we will destroy her. We will do this. We will do this. We will do this. Melissa to Jennifer. He has to look at it as an information document for us to be armed with, that's all. Imagine if a document saying all the things he wants ends up in the wrong hands. Kind of ironic that it ended up in the hands of someone like they probably least wanted it to end up in. Miss Nathan followed this by assuring Miss Abel, you know we can bury anyone, but I can't write that to him. After a few days on August 5th, 2024, Mr. Baldoni set the narrative for the social media campaign, sending Miss Abel a screenshot of a thread on X that had accused another female celebrity of bullying women. Mr. Baldoni stated, this is what we would need. And the photo is a photo of Hailey Bieber, being like Hailey Bieber's a bully when she was in her Mean Girl cancellation era. Justin says to Jennifer, this is what we would need. Yes. And Jennifer says, yes, I literally just spoke to Melissa about this on the break, about what we discussed last night for social and digital. Focus on Reddit, TikTok, IG. And then we have Miss Abel responded that she just had spoken to Melissa about this, about what we discussed last night for social and digital. Miss Abel added, focus on Reddit, TikTok, and IG, with reassurance that Miss Lively would be destroyed and buried. Wayfarer and Mr. Baldoni directed Miss Nathan and her team to actively engage in their retaliatory social manipulation campaign. In the weeks and months that followed, with the direction and approval of Wayfarer and Mr. Baldoni, the team engaged in a sophisticated, coordinated, and well-financed retaliation plan. The retaliation campaign relied on more than just publicists and crisis managers spinning stories. They also retained subcontractors, including a Texas-based contractor named Jed Wallace, who weaponized a digital army around the country, from New York to Los Angeles, to create, seed, and promote content that appeared to be authentic on social media platforms and internet chat forums. The Baldoni Wayfair team would then feed pieces of this manufactured content to unwitting reporters, making content go viral in order to influence public opinion and thereby cause an organic pile-on. To safeguard against the risk of Miss Lively ever revealing the truth about Mr. Baldoni, the Baldoni Wayfair team created, planted, amplified, and boosted content designed to eviscerate Miss Lively's credibility. They engage in the same techniques to bolster Mr. Baldoni's credibility and suppress any negative content about him. On August 10th, the day after the release of the film, Miss Nathan's team reported that she had started to see a shift on social, due largely to Judd and his team's effort to shift the narrative against Miss Lively. Hi team, so far extremely limited pickup on Daily Mail or Page 6. We'll continue to keep an eye out and send pieces as needed, but so far it's been steady coverage on pure speculation. We've also started to see a shift on social, due largely to Jed and his team's efforts to shift the narrative towards shining a spotlight on Blake and Ryan. Again, we'll continue to send links and screenshots, but wanted to send an update in the meantime. That's a little damning, I guess. That's showing that they were working with Jed, and this shift was due to him. The same day, Miss Nathan noted that as part of the shift, the majority of socials are so pro-Justin, and I don't even agree with half of them. Yeah, so that is crazy to me, because if she's saying, that's from Jennifer to Melissa, but the fact that she is saying, like, I don't even agree with half of them, lol, is crazy. Because what do you mean? He's your client. And I think that makes him look very bad. Miss Nathan then bragged to Miss Abel that Mr. Baldoni doesn't realize how lucky he is right now, by which they were referring to their successful efforts to shut down stories would have revealed how Mr. Baldoni's behavior, including sexual connotations on set, made cast and crew beyond Miss Lively uncomfortable. From Melissa to Jennifer. He doesn't realize how lucky he is right now. We need to press on him just how effing lucky. Melissa to Jennifer. The whispering in the ear and the sexual connotations like Jesus effing Christ. Other members feeling uncomfortable watching it. I mean, there's just so much. That sounds bad because, like, you're saying things that he supposedly did on set and you're working for him, which looks really bad. Which I guess looks bad because even your team doesn't support you and think you're right. Less than 1 week later, they again bragged about how they had shut down stories regarding HR complaints on set. On August 15, 2024, Melissa Nathan remarked that this went so well, it was genius. So okay, we have 4 majors standing down on an HR complaint. On August 16th, Melissa Nathan circulated a Daily Mail article entitled "String of Hard-to-Watch Videos That Have Surfaced Following Tone-Deaf Q&A to Promote It Ends With Us Could Tarnish 36-year-old star's golden Hollywood image for good." To which Miss Abel responded, "Wow, you really outdid yourself with this piece." And Miss Nathan replied, "That's why you hired me, right? I'm the best." As their own words revealed, the purpose of this social manipulation plan was twofold. It aimed to both A, conceal the pattern of harassment and other misconduct by Mr. Baldoni, Mr. Heath, and Wayfair, and B, retaliate against Miss Lively by battering her image, harming her business, and causing her and her family severe emotional harm. Millions of people, including many reporters and influencers who saw these planted stories, social media posts, and other online content, had no idea they were unwitting consumers of a crisis PR, astroturfing, and digital retaliation campaign created and funded by Mr. Baldoni and Wayfair to hurt Miss Lively. That is precisely the goal of an astroturfing campaign, to light the fire and continue to stroke conversations secretly, blurring the line between authentic and manufactured content, and creating viral public takedowns. As laid out in this complaint, the Baldoni Wayfair-led public attack of Miss Lively was the intended result of a carefully crafted, coordinated, and resourced retaliatory scheme to silence her and others from speaking out about the hostile environment that Mr. Baldoni and Mr. Heath created. As such, it was not only the unconscionable and a breach of contract, but also illegal under both state and federal law. Miss Lively brings the action to hold Wayfair and its leaders, Mr. Baldoni and Mr. Heath and Mr. Swartz accountable for the ongoing retaliation threats and harm that have caused Miss Lively and other cast and crew and all of their families. Okay, so this thing is like 62 pages. So I think we're gonna need a couple more like mini episodes of this series. If you guys enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a like and comment down below. Let me know what your opinions are about this situation, because I don't know who to believe at this point anymore. I have no idea what is going on. If you didn't like this video, feel free to leave a hate comment. I'd love to hear your opinion, and I will see you guys tomorrow.